Okay, now, how will be able to secure, no? Or how will be able to set a macro security settings in Microsoft Excel? So, I will give you a demonstration. Actually, that is a recorded demonstration from YouTube, no? So, actually, the steps, for, of course, is you need to click the File tab, then click the Options, click Trust Center, then click Trust Center Settings, and then click Macro Setting. So, click on one of the options, no? Either disable all macros without notifications. So, select this setting if you do not want to allow macros to run unless they are in a trusted location. Users will not receive any notification when they open Excel macro enable files. Another one, of course, we have disable all macros with notification. So it means to say that when a macro enabled file is open, a security warning is displayed, letting the user choose to enable macros. And this setting is the default actually at present. No? So another options, disable all macros except digitally signed macros. No? So with this setting, only macros that are digitally signed by a trusted publisher are allowed to run. If the macro is signed by a publisher you haven't trusted, a notification will appear to let you trust the publisher, thereby enabling the macros. Another option, enable all macros, but sabi nga dito is not recommended, no? Potentially dangerous code can run, no? You all allow macros to run with no notification of security warnings. And this setting leaves you machine vulnerable to macro viruses and is not recommended. No? Then right after that, just click OK, not twice. Click OK, then click OK. So I will show you the video presentations on how to adjust the macro security level. That is in Microsoft Excel 2020.
Macro security level in Excel. A macro is basically a little program that you can run inside Excel, and it is inserted into some worksheets that takes care of repetitive tasks for you. But the most time I actually encounter it is when I get a file from somebody else that has a macro, and I get a pop-up saying, this worksheet wants to run a macro. Is that all right or not? Do you want to change the color scheme? Wow. Yes. Don't bug me. Sorry about that, guys. Macros. So we go to File, Options, and then Trust Center. And then here, the Trust Center settings. Now here you have all kinds of settings, but we are after here the macro settings. The default setting is to disable all macros with notification. So it will pop up saying, hey, this worksheet wants to run a macro. Your setting doesn't allow that, but do you want to change it? You have a setting, disable all macros except digitally signed macros. So they have some sort of authorization in them. And the bottom one is enable all macros, not recommended, potentially dangerous code, including viruses that are known to use VBA script, which is the language for Excel macros. So that's not recommended, but you can select it if you're absolutely certain. But yeah, mostly just leave it at the default setting, but some folks want to change it, and I just shown you how you can do it. All right, click OK, obviously, and you're good to go. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the button below this video. And if you want to receive email updates when I post a new video and get tips and tricks on how to use Excel in a smarter way, head over.
Okay, so I think that's it for the macro, no? Again, as I mentioned a while ago, no, what we're going to do is just simply to open the Microsoft Excel, no? Wait, I'll just want to share my screen again. Yes. Okay, you just simply open Microsoft Excel. Then from File tab, no, as I mentioned earlier, no, click Options. No, this one, Options. Okay, then from Option, click Trust Center, as what our demonstration a while ago. No, then click Trust Center Settings at the right side. Okay, then click Macro Setting. It's the macro setting. This one. Then as what I've discussed earlier, we have the default is, the default is disable all macros with notifications. But again, as I mentioned, if you choose disable all macros without notification, by selecting this setting, if you do not want to allow macros to run unless they are in trusted location. So users will not receive any notification when they open Excel macro enable files. Okay? So then if we choose disable all macros with notification, so as I mentioned, this setting is the default. When a macro enabled file is open, a security warning is displayed, letting the user choose to enable macros. On the other hand, the disabled all macros except digital signed macros. With this setting, again, only macros that are digitally signed by a trusted publisher are allowed to run. So if the macro is signed by a publisher you haven't trusted, a notification will appear to let you trust the publishers, thereby enabling the macros. And the last one, of course, is the enable all macros. Again, but it is stated, as I mentioned earlier, not recommended. So if you choose this one, if you click this one, allow all macros, no, to run with no notification or security warnings. And this setting leaves your machine or your computer or laptop vulnerable to macro viruses and is not recommended. So actually, then for example, if you choose, no, just click OK. No, we stay, no, with what do you call this one, with the default, no, default setting. Click OK, then another OK, as I mentioned earlier, and that's it. That is a way on how we'll be able to set a macro security setting in Microsoft Excel. Even 2010, actually this one is 2019. Okay, so that's it for macro setting and Microsoft Word setting.